And there he is now. John Chambers has said the two great equalizers in life are the internet and education, and he's passionate about the power of both to change our lives. John Chambers is the leader in an industry that scarcely existed when he was in school. He anticipated how one-time novelties would become the necessities both for the global economy and for each of our individual everyday lives. We are relying on John Chambers' work when we least expect it. Cisco, the company he's headed for 2 decades, provides unified networks for computing and communication in all its dimensions. Mr. Chambers' own networks extend to education and development initiatives around the globe. When Cisco had a mere 200 employees, it now has 73,000, Cisco formed a partnership to share innovative technology with the elementary school next door. More recently, Cisco established a public-private partnership to provide innovative healthcare and education support after the devastating Sichuan earthquake in 2008, and he led similar efforts in this country in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. For his long career making business success the basis for public service around the globe, he won the State Department's top Social Responsibility Award, and he was honored to be the first person ever elected to receive the Global Citizen Award, presented in his case by President Bill Clinton. John, Duke also claims you as one of us. John Chambers got an early exposure to the potential of technology when he matriculated for a year at Duke's Engineering School, now known as the Pratt School of Engineering. More recently, he's returned to establish a fellowship for graduate students in Pratt and to share his vision for connected learning in the 21st century. Students around the world pursuing the cross-continent MBA program in Duke's Fuqua School rely on Cisco platforms to create virtual working groups and collaborate on projects, allowing them to interact in richer, more complicated ways and preparing them for productive lives in a globally connected world. In recognition of your leadership in technological innovation and its capacity to serve society, Duke is pleased to honor John Chambers with the degree of Doctor of Science.
Good on you. Good on you. I'm going to say one more word. You stay right here.
I wanted him to have that diploma. John, you are into communication. May I ask you to share some words with the members of this graduating class?
The hardest presentation you ever give is a commencement address. And the only thing that adds additional pressure to that is, Mike, I was told if it rained and thunder showers occur, we were both going to be canceled. And rather than give a speech, I'd like to just have a conversation. I'm going to start by thanking, for all of us in the honorary degrees, President Broadhead for your leadership. Rick Wagner, thank you very much. Dean Shepard, thank you very much. Tom, Victor, you all have an amazing faculty here. I want to start with the parents. All of us are so proud of our graduates. I had 3 degrees, 9 years in college. I'm sure my parents were very happy to see me finally graduate. And my wife and I, Elaine, had a fair amount of debt rolled up at the same time. But for the parents here, I want to express to each one of you as students how proud we are of you. There's no way to express it other than say we love you, we know how hard it was, and we know you're going to be very successful in life. As I was running across campus yesterday, and I'd forgotten about the humidity here, I was sweating just something terrible. And as I passed by each of you all, I'd say congratulations. And all of a sudden, I could see you just smile, the pride bubble up inside of you, and your parents behind the scenes just so happy for you. My parents were both doctors. And remember, that was 60 years ago, and that was very unusual. They taught me from the very beginning, the first equalizer in life was education. They drilled it into my head and my 2 sisters' heads that it was all about education, and that's how I ended up at Duke. I learned when I went to work at Cisco, the second equalizer in life is the internet, and I'll talk shortly about that. But the way that this school prepares you is like Mike said earlier, and President Broadhead said earlier, it is unequal to any other spot in the world. Over the last years, you've been through tremendous change, both economically, came in and it was in great shape, then we slowed down, now we're picking back up. It's been tremendous watching how the terrible disasters occurred around the world, and yet how this university responded to those, both the students and otherwise. As a basketball nut, watching your women's and your men's team in the national championship was amazing, because I went to school, an MBA school, with Coach K out at Indiana, and watching progress. I've also watched a university that, unlike most successful organizations in the world, knows how to change. Most of the time, whether it's a company or a university or an individual who's been very successful, that's the hardest one to change. And yet you watch this university change in terms of innovation, the way they use technology, bring the engineering school and the business school and the med school together, and become truly what I believe will be the first global university in education. And I'm not talking about distance learning. But today, rather than give a speech, I want to talk maybe about 10 or 11 ideas to share with you. And if I'm successful, if you like just one of those ideas and it helps influence your graduation and where you go in life, then I've done my job. And if you agree with everything I've said, I've failed miserably. The first idea is what you've already learned here at school. Listen. The ability to listen to leaders, and I've had the tremendous honor to talk to almost every global leader. President Medvedev in Russia with Arkady being his right arm in terms of a strategy to reinvent their country. Prime Minister Singh in India. President Clinton, who is the best I've ever seen at handling questions. The ability to talk to Thomas Friedman and to explain 7 years ago how bloggers and PR, when he said to me, John, do you realize that every person is now going to be a blogger? And it's going to be paparazzi? And I said, yes, I do. And it was too simple a question. What he was saying to me is, it's going to change your business, the way you interface to your customers, and the way you're just going to imagine. But one of the top leaders of the world looked at me and said, John, if I were to give you advice, and I asked him for advice, he said, before you do something important, take time to go to the bathroom. I'd been waiting for this meeting for a long time, and I was kind of disappointed. He saw it in my eyes, and he then said, it'll become more important to you when you're older. I was still disappointed, and I walked down with him a little bit further, and he said, John, do you understand what I just told you? And finally, I got it. He said, when you finish one meeting or one event, take time to summarize that. Don't be thinking about it when you go to the next one. When you go into that next session, whether it's with an individual, a patient if you're a doctor, or a business meeting, take time to get stress off of you. Don't go in with any extra stress. And third, prepare well for the next session. Those lessons have served me very well. So thought one, listen, what you've done very well here at Duke. Second, think about constant learning. It is the ability to recognize trends and to have the courage to learn constantly in your life. When I went to Cisco, I realized the second equalizer in life was the internet. But we're about to see a third. The other day, it was about 6 months ago, my 2-year-old granddaughter was working on the iPad. She was going screen to screen, doing mathematics, doing computer games. She was dropping into her parents' applications, which they had to lock her out of. She was learning to sing and everything else and turn it on and off with tremendous speed. I looked up at my son and I said, do you think it's too early to apply for early admissions at Duke? And he said, Dad, every 2-year-old does that. Second data point, 500 million users on Facebook, 700 billion minutes per month on Facebook by the users. You're about to see the third equalizer in life. The ability to collaborate and bring social networking to everything we do, from how we treat patients, to how we do business, to how we do education, is upon us. And what you think is complex today will be simple. It's going to change everything. Third, how many of you graduates like change? Let's see a quick show of hands. You trained yourself well for change, right? Hold up your hand. Be proud. Hold up your hand higher. Yeah. Isn't it great when you change your boyfriend or your girlfriend? Isn't it great when you leave here at Duke and you leave your friends behind? Isn't it great when you go take a job that you're not sure you're going to like or not? Isn't it great when you change managers? So you've got to think about, as you do change, how do you adjust this new environment? And our ability to deal not with our successes in life, but how we handle our challenges are the most important thing we learn how to do. The only constant is change. The ability to think about it as a company. Cisco has to reinvent itself. We've been through literally life-threatening experience in 2001, and as many of you might have read, we're now going through changes. But it's your ability with education and preparation to handle those changes that makes the difference. And understand that feeling uncomfortable with change is okay. That's what affects us all. The fourth one, it's so easy when a friend or a family member or a company colleague has a problem just to give them their space. And let me encourage you not to do that. I think it's so important to be there for your friends and family and your colleagues or your organization when they're in trouble more than any other time. I ended up at my company purely because of how I treated somebody 10 years before that I didn't think would ever have an influence over in the future when they were in trouble. At our company, I know every illness to the best of my ability that is life-threatening for every employee, their spouse, or their children. Last Friday night, I was headed into a pretty intense work week, and I knew it. And on Sunday night, I was doing my voicemail, and I got a call from one of our family members at Cisco whose daughter had a terrible form of leukemia, and the bone marrow transplant did not work out. She was scheduled to come here to Duke 1 week later and meet with a key doctor here that might have a chance to really make a difference. And he had been traveling around the world, so he wasn't available until Friday. But she only had 2 weeks to live. That morning, I called up Victor, your dean of the med school and health services. And I said, Victor, is there any way you can help this person? They moved it all the way up to earlier in the week. The ability to reach out and help an individual family member when they need you is key. Friday evening, before I went home, one of our employees had lost their 23-year-old son that day. I called them and said, what can we do, and how do we make a difference? And while some of you might say that's not important for a business leader or a leader of an organization to do, your friends and family need you most when you're in trouble. And that's when you build lasting relationships that have huge impact on the rest of the world. President Broadhead was kind enough to talk about the award Cisco's won. It is our efforts in the Middle East, our efforts after Katrina in the South, our efforts after the earthquake in China that allowed us to achieve those awards. And by the way, when we achieved those awards, we've also been one of the most successful companies in history from a profit point of view and best places to work. And for 19 of you coming to work at Cisco, thank you. We're really excited about seeing you. But when your friends and family have a trouble, be there for them. That's when you build a relationship. The next ones I'm going to talk about very quickly is what we do in terms of seeing government leaders. It pains me to say this, being a moderate Republican, but President Clinton is by far and away the smartest, both emotional and raw IQ leader I've ever seen in my life. He can connect the dots quicker than anyone else. He has the ability to frame something that we in Silicon Valley think about forever and express it in very, very simple terms. And one of the things, he's taught me many things, ranging from, I ask each leader, what can I learn? What can I teach my group? He teaches you how to handle questions and break it into pieces. And he does it the best I've ever seen. He also teaches you that when you are in the middle of a battle or in the middle of a competitive situation, don't fight it as a religious war. Understand your opposition has strong points of view as well. Take your strengths, recognize theirs, and make their strengths wherever you can yours. So it's the ability that each time you talk with a leader at any place in the world, and a leader can be your peer sitting beside you, how do you learn from them? Another leader, Shimon Peres, he did an amazing job, in my opinion, being for 4 decades in Israel. He would tell you that one of the basic lessons in life is it always looks darkest just before victory. And then he would say, your probabilities of victory grow up dramatically if you're well educated, if you're well prepared for what is about to occur. So as you go through life, when you feel that moment of stress, know that the capability is there for you to achieve through it and work through it. And it will make you a stronger person, and you will be successful. The next element is most successful, take time to give back. It's the right thing to do. It will make you feel better. But you, this class of 2011, can do it on a plane that very few other universities or capabilities can do around the world. Another thought, keep your balance in life. It's going to be so easy. You're type A personalities, a lot of you. How many are type A? Yeah. Now let me tell you, get somebody around you who balances you. Keep your balance in your personal life and your business or professional life, and also take time to eat right and exercise. And get somebody like my wife Elaine does for me, that when it gets out the kilter, just smacks you up in the side of the head. Spouses have a way of doing that regardless of gender, don't they? And lets you know that you're out of kilter. Take risks. Do not be afraid to fail. That was the key thing I learned in Silicon Valley. If you go through life much like playing basketball back on your heels, your opposition blows right around you. Have the courage to take those risks. Have the courage to look at the person that you're in love with and say, I'm committed to you, I want to get married. Have the courage to take that job that you were hesitant about doing. I see a lot of heads going like this, no way. Have the courage to take that job that you're hesitant about doing. Do not sell short your dreams and aspirations. In Silicon Valley, it's the red badge of courage for teams to get knocked on their tail. It's the ones that get knocked on their tail and get up that really make a difference. And finally, for the parents here, think about, do not hesitate to tell the people you care about in life that you really love them. I was at a Duke basketball game quite a while ago playing Stanford. They were 1-2 in the nation. That was the year, obviously, Duke won. And I was at the table, and big guys. And they were talking about how much they cared about each other and how much they loved each other. I looked up at Coach K, and I said, I'm not sure they're tough enough, Coach. And boy, was I wrong. That ability to tell somebody else you really care makes a difference. So let me close the same way I started off, with a little bit of humor. When you think about it, have fun in life. Don't take life too seriously. When pressure comes upon you, realize your experience, your friends and colleagues will get through it. If you're doing something that you don't like in your work or otherwise, you're not enjoying it, change it. Play life on your toes, not on your heels. Graduates of 2011, we, your family, your parents, your friends, your faculty, your fellow students are so proud of you. Congratulations, you will be successful. Have a great day.